All right, today we're jumping into a powerful story that really gets to the heart of a modern dilemma. What does it actually mean to raise our kids well, especially in a world that is just so demanding of our time and our attention? It's a story about family, about values, and about figuring out what we're really working so hard for.
So let's just start with this question because it's something I think a lot of us wrestle with. We all want our kids to be successful, right? But what happens when our own chase for success, the promotions, the bigger paycheck, starts to cost us the one thing that really matters, our connection with them? That's the core conflict we're going to unpack.
So our story kicks off by looking at two very different families and two completely different ways of life. And we see it all unfold right from the moment they wake up in the morning. This contrast, it sets the stage for everything to come.
At the very center of this story is a huge philosophical divide. On one side, you have discipline that's really just guidance, It's built on love and connection. But on the other side, discipline is just a reaction. It's driven by stress, by threats, by fear. And that one difference changes absolutely everything.
And you can really see how this plays out in their daily lives. In the village, Rohini's morning is peaceful, it's intentional, the family actually connects. But in the city, Rohit and Mohini's morning is just pure chaos. It's a battlefield of arguments and stress before the day has even really started.
And the effect this has on the kids? Well, it's crystal clear. The village children, Mayank and Riddle, they're happy, they're engaged. But the city children, Richa, Mohit, and Rakesh, they're withdrawn, totally lost in their devices, almost using those screens as a shield against all the tension in the house.
So, faced with their children's difficult behavior, the city parents, Rohit and Mohini, they don't look in the mirror. Nope. Instead, they look for a quick fix, an easy way out that they think is going to solve all their problems.
Mohini is absolutely convinced that just outsourcing their parenting to the city's best boarding school is the answer. For her, smart doesn't just mean book smart. It means disciplined, independent, all the qualities she feels they're failing to teach at home. You can tell it's a decision that's really born out of desperation.
So the parents, they had this grand vision for this prestigious hostel. They thought they were paying for a top-tier education and, some real discipline. But the reality, what was actually waiting for their children behind those walls, was something else entirely.
Wow, the contrast just could not be more intense. The gentle warmth of home, even a chaotic home, is completely replaced by this cold, impersonal, fear-driven routine. The motivation is no longer about connection or love, it's about pure survival, just trying to avoid punishment.
And in that vacuum, with no real parental guidance, something new and way more dangerous takes hold. The kids, feeling abandoned and lonely, they learn this really twisted definition of strength from the older students. That being a real man means being tough, breaking the rules, and never, ever showing any weakness.
Well, this whole toxic environment was just a ticking time bomb. It was only a matter of time before things escalated. And all it took was one single, seemingly innocent phone call to light the fuse and blow the whole crisis wide open.
And here's the heartbreaking part. The parents completely forgot their youngest son's birthday. So when the family from the village calls to wish him a happy birthday, they discover the truth. The kids aren't there. They've been sent away. The secret is out, and there is no going back.
Mohini's reaction? It's immediate, and it's defensive. Instead of explaining herself, she just attacks. She builds this wall around her decision, cutting off the only part of the family that's actually trying to help. She just doubles down, refusing to listen to anyone.
And then, everything just comes crashing down at once. The warden calls, one of the kids is sick with a high fever, but Rohit, buried in work, just dismisses it as drama. The kids, pushed to their absolute limit, finally snap and get themselves expelled. And it all culminates in this final, dramatic ultimatum from the grandfather that they simply cannot ignore. The experiment has completely, utterly failed.
Okay, so with the hostile experiment being a total disaster and their family ties hanging by a thread, the grandparents step in. They offer a different kind of solution, one that isn't rooted in discipline, but in connection.
At first, the kids are furious. You can just imagine. They feel like they've been moved from one prison to another. To them, the village, with no Wi-Fi and all these weird routines, is just another punishment. They are completely against it.
But the grandmother's approach, it is just genius. She doesn't lecture them. Instead, she gives them a quest. She cleverly reframes these simple, grounding chores as clues to unlocking some hidden family treasure. She taps right into their curiosity and gives them a sense of purpose.
And you know what? It works. A slow miracle begins to unfold. Away from their screens, away from all the pressure, the simple, steady rhythm of village life starts to do its magic. Slowly but surely, their anger starts to melt away, and it's replaced by a genuine engagement with the world and the people around them.
Now this is where the story reaches its emotional climax. Rohit and Mohini, completely unaware that any of this has changed, decide to drive out to the village for a surprise visit.
And let me tell you, the surprise is all on them. They walk in expecting to find miserable, difficult children, but instead, they find them completely transformed. They're laughing, they're talking, they're present. It's a scene they probably couldn't have even imagined was possible anymore.
Seeing her kids so genuinely happy and watching the unconditional love her sister-in-law shows them, well, that's what finally breaks through all of Mohini's defenses. She has this profound realization of how big her mistake was. In chasing her career, she started to see her own children as an inconvenience, and she missed the real education they needed all along.
And this leads the whole family to the central theme of the story, which is captured so beautifully in this phrase, Asli Kamai, which means the real earning. It's this total redefinition of success, turning away from money and status and toward the true wealth of family, peace, and connection.
You see, the transformation wasn't just for the kids in the end. The parents learned their lesson too. They completely restructured their lives to prioritize their family, and they finally build that warm, connected home their children had been needing from the very beginning. Ultimately, this story isn't just about them. It's kind of a mirror for our own choices, isn't it? It leaves us with this final question to think about. In our own busy lives, in the chase for our own goals, what simple, powerful treasures within our own families are we maybe forgetting to unlock?